Good morning, Advantage members. It's Monday, December 7th, 7 a.m. I'm going to keep today's analysis short and sweet, so let's get to it. Price of Bitcoin currently at $19,267. It looks like yesterday when I left y'all, we were somewhere around here, I want to say, and we made our way back up, put in another lower high, but then put in another lower low. So as per the local trend that we basically have this key high from yesterday, which was right after the new daily close and the weekly close that we had. And so we had that high, put in this low, then we had a lower high and a lower low. So by definition, as you guys very well know, when you have a high and a lower high and a low and a lower low, that is by definition a bearish, temporary bearish channel. Right? That's basically what's happening right now. And so we have this local bearish trend, which once again, it could easily change, right? Because we could then have something like this. We have a higher low right here. This thing pushes higher, puts in a higher high, and boom, we've changed the trend. But for now, what we have to assume is BTC is doing its daily chopping around. Don't really know what's going to happen. As I've said numerous times, I am not in any BTC longs right now, and I'm not really interested until I start seeing some real solid price action from Bitcoin, because there's been a whole lot of chop, and honestly, it's not been impressing me because the way I see the current price action, okay, I've talked about this before. This is the triangle that we're in right now, okay? Yesterday, it was probably something like this. It doesn't really matter if I just move the lines and extend it this way, because here's the thing. When you draw triangles in terms of Elliott wave triangles, okay, if you're drawing an A, a B, a C, and a D, and an E, it doesn't matter if I keep moving these trend lines, right? This could have been a D yesterday, and this could have been an E. And who knows, we might be in the process of a breakout. But it's also possible that we have not broken out yet. And so this is our D wave. We may have another E that's stretching down further. And then we start breaking out, okay? Because the only thing that matters in a triangle, see this ABCDE triangle, is that there is compression. If there is compression, meaning you have a high, a lower high, and then you have a low, a higher low, as long as you keep compressing for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves or 5 counts, that's the only thing that matters. Now, this triangle could really just go on for a long time and then fizzle out. That's also possible. Then that means that the triangle was useless and we don't really need to work on the ABCDE narrative. Okay, that's also a possibility. But for now, I don't think that possibility has changed. I still am kind of looking for this ABCDE triangle, but now I'm thinking this might be the D. We might be finishing off our E, and then we might be possibly thrusting higher. Okay. The other possibility is that, this triangle is taking a little bit too long. Now, I'm not one to discuss times and in terms of time, how long it takes for a breakout, because the breakout happens whenever it's supposed to happen, right? It's usually the bigger players in the market who are going to make the breakout happen. Like you, me, and our 50 other friends, we cannot move the market anyway, okay? So all we have to do is wait and see when the bigger players, the big boys and the big gals are going to move the market. That's it. So it's really my belief that I was hoping that this pattern would have played out faster, right? Like A, B, C, D, E. But if it takes longer, or even if we just break down from here, it's a possibility that I know I'm well prepared for, because I know it's likely that we might be facing some turbulence here. There might be a lot of headwinds in terms of sellers just stacked up on Bitcoin. I talked about this yesterday. There's an insane amount of sellers just waiting for this 19,900, 20,000 area. I don't know what's going on, but it's possible that maybe these sellers are just holding down the price and possibly ready to drive it down further. It's very possible. Now, it's also possible that the sellers are bigger players in the market. And once price gets up to that area, they allow their walls to be chewed and they keep selling on the way up and on the way up and on the way up. Okay, that's also possible and it's actually happened numerous times. Okay, but this kind of activity of selling, especially on Finex, it just makes someone like me want to be cautious because Finex is like real volume. I mean, there ain't the whole lot of spoofing that happens on Finex. Like these are real big players, big boys who come to the table to trade with large size. So in this area, it makes me a little bit cautious, okay, at the very least. Now, support-wise, okay, we have supports down here around 18.2, 18.1. There's some decent walls set up, so that's not too bad, all right? But that's also a good $1,000 drop from where we are. Now, it's possible that we don't need to go all the way down. Maybe we come right here and then start pushing up and away. For that to happen, we could still maintain the E wave where we come down way the heck over here, right? Let's just say we even stretch this out a little bit further. We come down around 18.7, 18.6, still put in this higher low as per the C wave. So we do something like this, and like this, and then start making our way out. Now, these are all the bullish counts that I'm talking about in terms of the triangle, okay? Now, let's not worry about patterns. And let's just say you're a horizontals trader and all you're really looking for is daily markers where Bitcoin should stay above, where it should not go below, right? Let's keep it simple like that, okay? So I think at present moment, I think it's safe to say that the resistance is probably capped, right around this area right here. Either this 19,456 marker that we have, or just this whole zone, right? If we just do this right here, this whole area right here, that's probably the more legitimate way to talk about resistance. Because you could see every time we've come towards the resistance block, we tried to breach it, sold off, tried to come back to it again, put in a lower high, sold off, again, another lower high, and now we're slowly kind of breaking down. Not necessarily breaking down, but put in a bearish candle so far. But all this, as you very well know, looks like kind of a bull flag. Now, bull flags are obviously bullish, but they don't mean anything until you get that breakout to the upside. Okay. Now, in this bearish block right here, it's also possible that we are continuously hammering resistance and maybe shorts are getting filled of big players in the market. Or they're selling off some of their positions right here. You don't really know the true intention of certain patterns until you see the breakout happen, because patterns do have a tendency to fail. And when they fail, then you get to realize after the fact that, oh, that was probably selling happening, So that's why don't assume that, bull flag right here definitively means a breakout until you start seeing some levels cleared. Like I said, 19.5, this area right here. Now on the support side, I think that one is also kind of simple. You can draw it out a couple different ways. Maybe this marker right here, maybe even this previous wick right here. Okay, so this general area is probably the support zone. Okay, so let's draw this one out as a green block. Okay, so you can see across the board, I mean, we hit this area around 21st of November. Boom, sold off. Tried to push up, failed, hit the higher area of resistance, boom, sold off, right? Once more, we continuously hit this area of support, and we're being pinned between this green support and this red resistance. So we don't really know which way it's going to break. So now you can see visibly exactly the ping-ponging that's going on from a daily time frame basis. See, in this area, if you're scalping, you better be damn good, because you better be buying somewhere near the bottom and you better be selling somewhere near this red zone right here. If you're buying anywhere in the middle, you might get chopped to the downside when the market is headed down, or you might get chopped up to the upside if you're short when the market is headed up. So you can see in this chop, you don't really want to be scalping. If you are, like I said, buy green, sell red. Short red, sell into green. That's really it. But if you're betting on direction, good luck, because I really don't know what's going to happen. Now we've talked about this over and over again, which is the whale ratio, where Bitcoin whales are depositing more and more BTC onto exchanges, is happening a bit more frequently, and there's a decent size coming onto exchanges. It's in our Bitcoin analysis channel, and it's somewhere on my Twitter feed too, so make sure y'all check it out. But tonight, our friend Key, the CEO of CryptoQuant, he's going to join us for a private session 12 hours from now. So the video that you're seeing, I'm on Central Time Zone, so the Chicago time zone. So 12 hours from now, he will join us, and we'll talk about all the different metrics that we're seeing on this platform, which is the CryptoQuant Pro platform. And he'll discuss his insight on what he believes is happening in the crypto market as per on-chain metrics. I think that'll be good insight from someone who doesn't really have anything at stake in terms of price, and it's just a unbiased opinion of raw metrics and data in the market. So make sure y'all stay tuned for our interview with Kiyoung Zhu tonight at 7:30 p.m., 12 hours from now. We will also be giving away one free membership to this CryptoQuant platform to one Advantage member. Okay, so now let's look at it this way, okay? We have the resistance mapped out and we have the support mapped out. Well, if the support is right around here and it breaks, we should be at least heading towards 17.5, maybe even 17.2, that area. And I think I had laid this out on a 30-minute chart somewhere down here, right? Oops, over here, as you can see. Okay, so this green box. And the reason I talk about this green box is because if you look at this previous triangle that we had before we broke out, well, the best way to sort of weed out a bunch of these buyers, whoever bought in this whole thing so far, is you bring price back towards that block or break it down even further. And if you bring it back to this green block, that's somewhere around 17.7 all the way down to about 17.2. Okay, so that's why I was talking about the 17.5, 17.2 marker. Now, also on the daily pivot standpoint, we have the pivot currently here around $17,620. So say we break this green block, we should be headed towards this pivot, at least. If we break down further, then there's probably something wrong. I mean, maybe it's possible that we head back towards this support area, 16.7 all the way down to 16.2, but you don't really want to test that. Like, you don't really want to be the kind of person who wants to be betting on something where you pushed up over here and then you're hoping for price to come down to the same area. If anything, you should hope for price to bounce right here and then start longing that. If it comes down here, it's not terrible, but it's just, then we get into the whole thing of, all right, well, is this, big head and shoulders being created? All kinds of garbage is going to start coming out. Buyers are going to get a little bit weary, and, it's just going to be a whole lot of BS that you don't really want to deal with. Okay. So best we create a higher low and push higher. All right. Let me see here. So we talked about that. Oh yeah, resistance, right? So if we break over resistance, I think that's very clear, right? You break over this area, you're slicing right through 20,000, and you're probably headed towards this R1 target, which is right around 22,000 flat. And I told y'all that if you take a measured move out of this bull flag that's developing, or bull pennant, that takes us right around 21,000, 21,200. So, all in all, if we're breaking out of here, we should not be stopping anything short of like 21 or 22,000. It should just be a nice rocket ship up. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so let's delete this, talk about this. From an OBV standpoint, I'm still kind of hoping for OBV to start pressing higher. Like, I want the money flows to start dictating that there are buyers coming into the market. Now, whether that means that price has to roll over and then we start seeing buyers kind of step up to the plate, or if it means, OBV starting to lead price action even as price, just hovers sideways. Like there is always a tell, if you will, when there's something unique happening in the market where people are not paying attention. The nuances in the market of buy pressure, demand pressure versus supply pressure. These things are evident in things like OBV, in this footprint and volume and heat map data, right? Like if we look inside this candle, okay, so let's go to the daily, let's look to the daily basis. Let's look inside the footprint data, right? So you can see, oh my gosh, okay, over here. So you can see over here, right? All at the tops of these candles, the buying pressure just fizzles out. See, look at the top of all these daily candles. Every single one, buy pressure fizzles out. Up here we tried, right? Buy pressure was there, but didn't go anywhere. See, this is even worse because what happens is, okay, you try to put in these nicer buy walls like 164 BTC, 222 BTC, 204 BTC, but you didn't go anywhere because that means that there's bigger sellers who are passively absorbing that buy pressure. Now it's possible that maybe they're temporarily absorbing and they're trying to sell some of their positions right around this area. That's also possible. I understand that. But, then you sort of saw more buying pressure in the tops of these beehives. And so the fact that you're not seeing that, it tells me that maybe we have just a little bit of fizzling in demand temporarily. And so if you have a fizzling in demand right at the top of an area, at the top of a zone, the only way you get more demand is you have to head down further. See, this is one of the reasons why I am not just quick to say that we have to just rock it up out of here. It's because I believe that there's something larger that's developing. Now, I don't necessarily know if from here we don't put in the ABCDE and then we just start breaking out. Because the thing is, when there's big players coming out of the market, they can just, drive this thing up literally within a matter of hours. And whatever you thought was, 20, 40, $80 million walls could just get completely sliced up. But, these patterns right here, yeah, they're generally bullish, but unless they break out, it don't mean squat. It could come back towards these, trend lines. And so this is what I mean is if you have a fizzling of demand, especially when you had a good amount of demand right here, and that didn't really push price anywhere, then you had consistent lower highs right here with fizzling demand right at the tops of these candles. If I were kind of looking at the analysis, I'd probably say, well, okay, I mean, maybe we need to head a little bit lower to seek new demand, new fresh blood that wants to buy up the market and then start pushing up prices. Okay. Anyway, nothing going on in terms of ETH BTC. I spoke about this yesterday. You would have liked to see the support hold or touch once and start pushing off like that, but it seems like Ethereum is quite tightly correlated with Bitcoin. So even in ETH, this whole cup and handle thing that we thought, or bull pennant or ABCDE triangle, I don't really know if that's going anywhere right now because we're right below the daily pivot too, right? So it's kind of a little bit fizzling in terms of price action right here. You could just say that this is a high, lower high, another lower high. This was a low, this is a slight lower low. So maybe if we put in another lower low, we might actually have a sharp sell-off back towards this area, just like we had with ETH, could bring prices down for Ethereum around $500 to $525 or something. Okay. The DeFi blue chips doing okay this morning, as you can see across the board, picked up a little bit. Some of the assets I'm still focusing on is AAVE. AAVE looks like it's just gunning towards $100. So that's a pretty solid sign. Band looking decent this morning too, up 4.25%. The other assets are kind of lagging behind. Also, big eye on, I'm paying attention to Wi-Fi very closely. So that could be a potential trade if y'all are looking forward to it. But do keep an eye on this one right here. The MACD is sort of flip bearish right over here. But all things considered, Wi-Fi and some DeFi coins should be pushing higher. But over the weekend, as you guys know, it wasn't really the best trade for me to be in. And, honestly, I'm kind of happy that I didn't have to deal with babysitting my positions over the weekend. Because sometimes it's just best to take a loss at Chen, even if it's, a small one that could have been avoided. It's okay to just take the weekend off, not have to worry about your positions, and then come back, fresh Sunday or Monday and see what the market is going to give you. Check out DXY real quick. So here's my problem with the DXY, and I talked about this at great length yesterday. There are just too many people in the market that keep talking about the dollar, possibly being demolished and buy Bitcoin and all kinds of stuff. Like, that's a conversation for another decade, maybe even another couple of decades from now. At present moment, in my opinion, the dollar is strong and probably the strongest currency in the world. So even if you think it's getting weaker, it doesn't mean anything. The world itself is still trading on behalf of the US dollar. Everybody literally wants dollars. Think about it like this. There's way more demand for dollars than there is for Bitcoin. Now, this isn't to diminish Bitcoin, but we just need to acknowledge that there's a long path to go for Bitcoin. I think the problem that gets to me is the dollar has sold off so aggressively, in the entire world, if you think about it, is short dollar. Like, the narrative right now is dollar is getting weaker. Most markets across the world are positioned in a way where risk assets like stocks, like Bitcoin, like gold, like commodities are going up and the dollar is going down. It's a pretty one-sided trade. What happens when you have everybody on one side? You just tip the dominoes over. It's very simple. You push the dollar up, you squeeze everybody out, and have everything just crumble. And guess what? The only thing that's capable in the world of doing that is the currency market. With almost $4 trillion traded a week, I'm pretty sure they can topple every single market over and drive up the dollar and drag down gold and stocks and Bitcoin. Now, I'm not saying that this has to happen today, tomorrow, maybe even this month, but just know, keep an eye on the narrative. Just listen carefully of what's being talked about in the markets, on Twitter, on Google keywords. I generally, like, once in a week or every couple of days, I'll do some scanning of general sentiment on what's happening in the market. And we've been so bullish for so long, and that's okay. I'm a bull in Bitcoin right now. But when you start hearing the dollar is a currency that's being debased and devalued and all kinds of stuff, because there's nothing backing it, and everybody wants Bitcoin, it's a bit of a stretch, and that's all I can say. It's a bit of a stretch. I'm not going to sit here and say that, it's never going to happen, because times do change. And I understand that, but it also takes a while. And to destroy a currency of the most powerful economy, the most powerful military, the most, powerful democracy of the world, well, that's going to take probably many, many decades, So anyway, it's just something to keep in mind. Don't think I'm bearish Bitcoin or bullish dollar. It just means that when there's too many people on one side of the trade, there are bigger players in the market, bigger whales that are paying attention to this stuff. And guess what? No one wants to talk about the fact that it's possible that the dollar just rips. And if it does rip, the effects and the impact on other markets could be quite detrimental, at least for the near term. Okay? So just keep that in mind, All right. But anyway, so I do see, maybe the dollar is potentially basing out a little bit right here. It's also just sold off so aggressively, but You know, my marker right here that I've drawn out for several months now is this one right here, which is the previous support, resistance, and now we're coming into that area as potential support once more. Okay, so if we're coming into that area as potential support once more, maybe we might expect a little bit of a bounce. We might head back to this pivot right here, which is around 92.5. Okay, that's a pretty decent move in the currency markets, right? From here going back to here, that could pull down a little bit of, you know, some of the markets. Okay, and even gold. I mean, I looked at gold last night, pulled down a little bit. Okay, here's gold. Whoops, where's that trend line that I'd drawn? Darn it all. Guess it disappeared. I had this kind of trend line drawn. Maybe it's something like this. Let me see. Something like that. Okay. Anyway, trend line broken, obviously, right? So, you know, there might be some potential impact on gold coming down a little bit. And with that, because gold is a $10 trillion market, you know, you could see that they may have some hedging effects and impact on currency markets. So say gold pulls down a little bit. Let's just say the stock market also has a slightly down day and you see the dollar tick up. Well, you're probably going to see some impact on Bitcoin too. Okay. So the way I see dollar positioning, gold positioning, Bitcoin positioning, you know, I would love for Bitcoin to break down because it's the perfect timing for Bitcoin to break down and give us a nice retrace to buy. Because honestly, if the dollar pushes up, I don't think the dollar is in a position to just ramp up right away. Like, I don't think we're just going to go into, you know, this heavy bearish sell-off and then straight up bullish. I don't think so. I think there's going to be a whole lot of chop around here. Maybe for several months, and maybe even for several years. Okay. And so I welcome the opportunity for Bitcoin to get a retrace. Okay. All right, that's it, folks. See y'all 7:30 tonight for the interview with Kyung Ju. Looking forward to it. I hope you are too. Y'all take care. I'll keep up with you through the day. Cheers.